Hello everyone and welcome back to the Blackfoot Book Club and another volume of my essential film reviews collection. Thanks for being there. Thanks also for a new subscriber who on the 30th of October 2023 left a rather beautiful comment. Thank you so much, it touched me greatly. Thank you. I have tried this introduction a million different ways and here we go again. I adore this film. I am Miles from Sideways. I am the main character. Every look, every gesture, every regret, every verbal outburst, every look of disdain, every snarling comment. That's me. I am Miles from Sideways. So I adore this film so much. I couldn't possibly highly recommend it to you enough. It's also a long one, so strap in. The usual rules apply. I'm going to sit here in panic mode for about the next 20 minutes, trying desperately not to stumble and bumble over my own written word. But you are in easy street. Sit back, relax, kick off your shoes, stretch out, go on, stretch out. Pour yourself a second glass of wine, as it's perfectly apt for the coming film. If anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot. Please accept my sincere apologies for the above tagline. It's purely a personal indulgence, as it represents my favourite segment of this film. As well as being absolutely hysterical, it's also reflective of many of the touchstones of the film's overriding themes and a snapshot of our two male protagonists in this astonishing film. Miles, Paul Giamatti, and Jack, Thomas Hayden Church, may ostensibly be old college roommates and lifelong friends, but they are so much more than that, as they interchange roles between an old married couple bickering about any and everything, to two disparate individuals in the middle of their lives with completely polar opposite views, and of a seemingly parental-child relationship, one forever pulling the other into line, with an admonishment or a reminder of the responsibilities and commitments. Usually it's Miles who takes the parental role to Jack's hyperactive, over-the-top and somewhat childish persona, but here in this pivotal scene midway through the film, it's Jack's turn to assume the responsibility of a parent over their wayward child, as Miles, seemingly forever plagued by bad news, is in yet another tailspin, a little drunk, and recovering from yet another personal setback in his life. To make matters comically worse, Miles also has to play along with yet more lies emanating from the mouth of his friend, and to feed his insatiable appetite for casual sexual liaisons. Jack is determined to make the very most of their week together, but not quite in the manner that Miles had intended to send his friend off into his upcoming marriage. He has to lie, again, about his newly agreed book publishing deal, and following a pep talk from Jack, he has to find his humorous and gregarious side, again, thus ensuring he doesn't sabotage Jack's intended night of sexual debauchery. Following his hilarious and sarcastic retort of, "Aye aye, Captain!" Miles has one further stipulation, being the renowned wine connoisseur that he is. No Merlot will be consumed under any circumstances, and although he receives a categorical assurance that this line will not be crossed, he soon capitulates and ventures over to the dark side, under the pressure of a brilliant, light-hearted, fun and boozy evening with great company, and despite his humorous and chaotic attempts to ruin the evening, he fails. But then again, Miles always fails. This, in a nutshell, is the beauty of this wonderfully funny, acerbic, heartbreaking, but colourful, vibrant and warm film. A tale of constant lies and deceit, friendship, heartbreak, self-discovery and self-examination, set amongst the rolling hills, vineyards and beautiful coastline of Southern California, as two friends try desperately to enjoy a final week of freedom before returning to marriage, work and a book full of typos and existential angst. I had the immense pleasure of seeing this film at my local picture house 10 years ago, and I look forward to re-watching it anytime I, or a companion, suggests doing so. Along with Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia, it's a film on strict and constant rotation. I instantly fell in love with Sideways at the cinema all those years ago, and I'm still fascinated and in love with every sun-kissed, melancholic frame. In another shameless sense of self-regarding nonsense, I love this film for deeply personal reasons, for as well as being Clarence Worley in Tony Scott's eponymous True Romance, and Jerry Lundegaard in the Coen brothers directed masterpiece Fargo, I am Miles, to an absolute golfing tee, here in Alexander Payne's Sideways. Okay, I can't consume wine in such voluminous quantities as Miles, nor do I drive a classic-shaped red Saab convertible, and I'm clearly not an accomplished writer either, but every look, every half smile, and every lament, sarcastic comment, and heartbreaking regret is me to a T. I also like to think I share his warmth, his soul, and his heart of pure gold that's hidden beneath the veneer of his problems, but that's for others to judge and decide. For now, I am Miles, and being the narcissist that I am, I can't help but love him, and laugh heartily at the inside japes and jokes, as well as his inner torment. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Here is a brief dissection of the opening 15 minutes with as much love and reverence as I can muster. The film opens in pitch black darkness, accompanied by an incessant knocking on a door, which grows louder until the knocks themselves resemble that of typewriter keys being punched, and the film's title is similarly typed onto a dark black screen. Miles, now shaken from his slumbers for the first of many times in the coming film, answers the repeated knocking on his front door, and despite being only half awake, and indeed only half dressed, rushes out of his apartment and amid a flurry of profuse apologies moves his car. The first of many title slides appear before us, Saturday, and this is also a recurring theme of the film, as the days of the week appear as segues between scenes. Both the editing from long-time friend and collaborator Kevin Tent and the joyous and bouncy jazz-infused musical soundtrack from Rolfe Kent are evidenced in the opening segments. However, against the background of Tent's frenetic editing and Kent's beautiful musical accompaniment is a foul-mouthed, hungover and already late Miles as he rushes back to his apartment. A telephone apology later and an assurance that he's out the door. Miles is anything but, as he studiously reads a novel while sitting on the toilet, taking a long and luxurious shower and flossing before we cut to him smiling amiably and taking his time at a nearby bakery as he orders a New York Times and a croissant. Why rush? After all, he has an entire week of relaxation, wine tasting and golf ahead of him before he sees his friend off into the blissful land of marriage and commitment. We now cut to Miles joining the freeway in his distinctive yet beaten up old style red Saab convertible, and although late, blimey, Miles is happily driving sedately whilst being overtaken on a busy freeway. Why rush? He has an important New York Times crossword to complete after all. However, Mr. Prompt finally arrives at a sumptuous looking detached family home for his meeting with Jack and his large family of prospective in-laws. Miles apologises yet again for arriving late, lies yet again for his late arrival, and appears nervous and sheepish even among friends. Jack is eager to leave and make up for lost time. However, Miles is more than happy to give his opinion on the desired makeup of the wedding cake, but Jack feels the need to break up the happy gathering with the first of his litany of lies throughout the film. He announces that Miles's book is to be finally published, leaving his friend to smile awkwardly through the questions that follow, before the two friends smile profusely and wave as they finally depart for the week ahead. Jack, where the fuck were you, man? I was dying in there. The start of the friend's journey is simply captured with a camera on each and intercut between the two as Jack is infuriated at his friend's tardiness and desperate need to escape for the week, whilst Miles is furious at his friend's extreme exaggeration of the truth regarding his book. The polar opposite nature of the two friends is established immediately too, with Miles apprehensive at the week ahead and clearly already on edge despite providing alcoholic sustenance for the journey. Jack, on the other hand, is free and determined to make every possible moment count, including opening a rare bottle of wine, a 1992 Byron, immediately. Awkward smiles abound as the friends toast their friendship and the journey ahead, before Miles sincerely proclaims, "Despite your crass behaviour, I'm glad we're getting this time together." Their week ahead is planned to be a joyous one, and Miles in particular is looking forward to imparting his vast, expert knowledge of wine to his friend. However, one thermocut later, and set against the backdrop of a beautiful Californian shoreline, the friends are sharing terse words again, as Miles's book isn't being published and the ending hasn't been rewritten, despite what his nonchalant friend may think. These amusing segments are captured again with a simple camera on each of them inside the car, before Miles has to make an important detour. It's Miles's mother's birthday, and she's 70 something, and her dutiful son can't possibly drive by on their route without stopping off to wish her a happy birthday. Hurriedly, he scrawls a birthday greeting into a card, and with Jack carrying the shop-bought flowers, with price tag still attached, they approach Miles's mother's home. Thankfully they do, as it introduces us to the first of many sublimely comical cameo performances from Miles's mother, Mary Louise Burke. And what follows is a staple of Alexander Payne's film, that of a painfully awkward family reunion, and after Miles's insistence, a family meal that both Miles and Jack smile awkwardly through. Oblivious to all of this is Miles's mother, who is so excited to see her son after such a long absence, and, of course, his actor friend. Early in the already growing awkward family meal, Miles excuses himself and leaves Jack to smile through his mother's recollections of his acting prowess, whilst he tiptoes upstairs and into his mother's bedroom. Surreptitiously he steals a thick wad of $100 notes, before quietly returning the tin containing his mother's emergency supply of cash. However, as he does so, his eyes, and that of Payne's camera, are drawn to the numerous framed photographs that adorn her dressing table. With extreme close-ups we see numerous pictures of happier times with Miles and his father, a family gathering, and importantly, a picture of a smiling and blissfully happy Miles on his wedding day. The colour of this photograph is important as it's clearly fresh and recent in age, and as the camera cuts to Miles, his already darkened demeanour is blackened still further. Miles returns to the dinner table and is unable to hide his dark mood, despite Jack and his mother's light-hearted smiles and conversation. Talk resumes of Jack's impending wedding, before Miles's mother asks when he will marry again. "I just got divorced," is his terse reply, before impertinently calling his mother by her name, and it's clear that Miles's balloon has been well and truly pricked, as he ignores Jack's insistence that it was 2 years ago and he should clearly move on with life. The scene ends with Miles's mother offering her son some money for his chip, before a title slide of Sunday appears and the two friends quietly tiptoe out of the house, leaving the mother asleep on the sofa opposite her flowers still wrapped in cellophane with price sticker still attached. Sideways is based on a novel of the same name by Rex Pickett, and Alexander Payne, together with his writing partner Jim Taylor, secured their first Oscar successes for their best adapted screenplay of the source novel. The film itself garnered 4 further nominations at the 2005 Oscars, with Payne receiving a further nomination as Best Director. The film was nominated in the Best Film of the Year category, and both Thomas Hayden Church, Best Supporting Actor, and Virginia Madsen, Best Supporting Actress, were thoroughly and wholeheartedly deserving of their respective first-time nominations. Suffice to say, it baffles me to this day how poor Giamatti wasn't recognised for his unbelievable performance in his leading actor role as Miles, as it's a performance that has everything, as it veers from sublime comedy to deep existential melancholia through nuanced touches and reflections in a portrayal he was destined to play, and one which he thoroughly excels and calls his own. No one but Giamatti could have portrayed a highly unlikable character such as Miles with such wit and verve, such over-the-top desperation, but yet at the same time bringing home to the audience his true heart of gold with such a range of righteous anger and despair through to so many touches, glances and half smiles. Half of Miles's life has passed him by, and he has nothing to show for it except grief, loss, a borderline alcoholism problem, a painful divorce, and a highly personal book that isn't going to be published. As the film nears its conclusion, Miles and Jack sit beachside, reflecting on their middle-aged lives, as Miles laments, "The world doesn't give a shit what I have to say. I'm unnecessary." Before Jack, forever being helpfully unhelpful, tries to rescue his friend from another enveloping bout of melancholia. Miles would do any and everything for others, but strangely not himself, it seems. But his struggles with depression, anxiety, and being totally socially inept are hysterically funny at times, and heartbreaking at others. All of which is in stark contrast to Jack, a bygone TV actor and now advertisement voiceover artist, who is carefree, irreverent, but stunted both intellectually and culturally, with a childlike demeanour and no thoughts whatsoever for his impending wedding, and seeking only to sate his voracious appetite for casual sex. Thomas Hayden Church thoroughly deserved his Oscar nomination for, if nothing else, turning a horribly unlikable character into one you cheer for and laugh along with. "We're here to party, man," is Jack's mantra, and in one of the film's many central themes, he meets his match in every possible way in Stephanie, Sandra Oh. And Sandra Oh infuses another slightly unlikable character into one you can't help but triumphantly cheer for in a spectacularly brilliant scene that leads us into the highly amusing last act of the film. Wait till you see that. However, Miles too also meets his match in every possible way in Maya, who is excellently realised by Virginia Madsen in her Oscar-nominated portrayal of the angelic, innocent and almost ethereal Maya, a waitress at what Miles proudly calls his office, a local restaurant called the Hitching Post. Maya is the only character of the 4 who is instantly likeable, as she glides almost effortlessly across the screen and back into Miles's life once again. Taking up residence in his office, Miles has been falling in love with Maya for some time, and now reunited, he finally realises he may have actually met his match all along, and in every way possible. And in one of the numerous signature scenes of this wonderful film, this is captured perfectly by the director, as the 2 reluctant lovebirds discuss a lifelong fascination with wine. Their joint scenes are both touchstones for the film and indeed its beating heart, but their porch scene is brilliantly realised and a scene that is a joy to behold, time and time again. So how does Alexander Payne take a depressed writer, a sex-mad Lothario, and 2 beautiful ladies who collide into their detestable world and turn it into Oscar gold? Quite expertly indeed, now that you ask. Sideways is littered with highly comedic interludes, from Jack chasing a drunk Miles down a hill in a vineyard to a deliberate car crash that goes horribly awry. Brilliant scene. To Miles hilariously rescuing his friend's wallet and wedding rings before escaping from a large swinging penis. Wait till you see that soon. There are many, many more such scenes to enjoy. The film is edited brilliantly by long-time collaborator Kevin Tent, and with the inclusion of rolling split screens, the narrative moves at a tremendous pace throughout, and highly complemented by Rolfe Kent's jazz-infused soundtrack that only deviates to a simple piano tune to highlight Miles' highs and lows. One short scene typifies the genius of Alexander Payne's directing, as he employs every camera angle possible, above, below, obtuse and oblique, and especially extreme close-up, on Miles's angry, drunken and desperate telephone call to his ex-wife. Giamatti plays it heartbreakingly well, but Payne's directing takes the short scene to another level of intensity as he backs and stifles an already desperate man into a metaphorical corner with his camera. Sideways has everything. 4 stunning character portrayals set in a sun-drenched paradise as their lives veer from the sublime to the ridiculous, from utter joy to crushing existential sadness, but shot through the prism of brilliant black comedy. Above all, Sideways is a love story, and I might, just might, go now and knock on someone's door. But then again, I'm not Miles, and I don't have his admirable spirit or the courage of his convictions. Oh, blimey, what a film. That was Sideways, directed by Alexander Payne from 2004. And I'm Miles. No, sorry, I'm Stephen Blackford. Reading, blimey, and writing, better. Film reviews, pointless film reviews, but spoiler-free and heartfelt film reviews, since 2012. I adore that film. I haven't quite done it the justice I wanted to. Couple of stumbles, who cares? It's just you and me, it's just me and you. I thank you for being there. And this was Sideways. And I'm Stephen Blackford, and I am Miles from Sideways, and I'll leave you in peace and in solidarity. Thanks very much for watching. Peace, everyone.